And welcome to another episode of Who Gives a Hoot. I'm Luke. That's Kyle. That's Kyle. That's John. That's John. And we're here. Uh, Braden's not joining us because he's a studious young man with an exam in the morning or something. So you can't say that we don't care about education on this pod.
I would hope we can say that.
I mean, yeah. Yeah. So since we last recorded, Union Omaha for a second straight year clinched the Players Shield. Did so this time during a tumultuous match in South Georgia. Been a couple weeks since then, so if you don't know what happened, it should be. Is it up on YouTube now? They still putting them up on YouTube?
The full match, or you mean the highlights?
Full match.
I don't think those go up until a certain amount of time has elapsed. Like when they stop saving them on the ESPN archives.
Well, go watch the highlights. Bunch of red cards. Good fun. I would say good, clean fun, but it was not clean fun. But Union Omaha pulled off a good win and celebrated not in the locker rooms as we had previously discussed, but on the pitch, and apparently in elevators, per Gary Green's videos that have been shared on social media.
They seemed like they were stopping on every single floor of the hotel, but there's like 4 buttons on that elevator, so something weird was happening.
Okay, this is the important question. Who's the asshole on the team who goes onto the elevator and hits every single button?
I don't want to speculate about that. I feel.
Yeah, I know who on our team it is.
All right. Well, since none of us are brave enough to say it, put it in the comments on either Instagram or on Twitter, because everybody's got an opinion on it, and maybe if we get enough people asking or putting it out there, we'll share ours. That brought us to the most highly anticipated match of the season, last game of the season, first place versus last place.
Well, they were
versus Central Valley Fuego.
Were they last place going into it, or was Lexington last place?
They were last place going.
I think they were bottom.
They were last place.
I think they were bottom going into the game.
Yeah, they were very consistent this season. I don't think they slipped out of that for more than a week at a time.
They were threatening at the end, though.
Yeah,
they played a bunch of kids too.
Yeah, I mean, neither team had anything to play for, really. So we saw a very rotated Union Omaha lineup, with some starters we don't typically see. Wallace in goal, Marco back playing and wearing the armband.
Central center back too.
Yeah,
Marco.
Not a role we've typically seen him in. And last regular season home game, though we won't be away from Werner Park for long, but the pitch looked good.
It looked better, but there was definitely some slipping still happening.
Yeah. I think they watered it in the sun. They were watering it while the sun was still out, and then the sun dipped away for the entirety of the game. Because the person who was singing the national anthem, who did a fantastic job, had to continually move away because the sprinklers were going, because they'd moved where the national anthem was being sung, due to the announcement of Steven Dos Santos's impending retirement from professional soccer. It sounds like he'll still be playing through the playoffs, provided he remains healthy. And
hopefully like a month away.
Yep. A nice little tribute video put out there with highlights from his various championship clubs, as well as comments from Gary, Dom, I believe his mother as well.
That was his wife.
I was stuck in concessions during that. But very, very good of the team to, take time. Parliament put out a TIFO for him. Definitely good to see the team recognizing a player who's made such a huge impact. Top goal scorer for Union Omaha as it stands. I mean, that record will likely change in another couple of years, but always good to see those records come and go.
I was gonna say he might even be. So I was really gonna pull it up quick, but he's one of the top scorers in the championship, if I recall.
He's in the top 10 all-time leading goal scorers in the championship. I think when he came to us, he was at that time the leading.
He might not be now.
Yeah,
I want to say, didn't Dane Kelly play a lot in the championship and maybe eclipse him?
It does look like Dane Kelly's at the top.
Quick wiki math. If
he
played at Rochester and Ottawa when they were in championship, then he has 60 plus 4 plus 2, 66 goals in regular season play in the championship.
Yeah. He had a fair amount of postseason action in championship as well.
And apparently a goal from midfield against Richmond when they were both in championship. I had no idea about that.
Well, let's see if he can do it again, because Union Omaha managed to put 3 in on Fuego with 2 inaugural goal scorers. Ryan Jiba, in his second stint with the club, gets his first professional goal. And late in the game, sub Mark Bronick coming on and getting his first goal during his first full professional match, signed to a deal with Union Omaha as a full professional player. So that's our
after coming on at half and getting his first professional yellow as well, which was a little
second professional minute with yellow card. I just love it. I wonder if that was encouraged.
Like, I understand. I understand that, like, yeah, you want to protect the goalkeeper. It didn't seem like he was going that hard at the ball. I think the keeper was fine, but it is what it is.
Well, the interesting part here is that's the first inkling of the 25 retention, because being signed this late in the season means they've at least signed him on through next year.
Mm-hmm.
So will be interesting to see how the rest of it fleshes out, who moves on, who stays. But considering the way he's played when he's had minutes this season, definitely a great signing, and happy to have him on as a full professional for us.
Well, there's one other young player that I want to talk about briefly in this game too, which is Anderson Holt, who got an entire game. He started and played the whole game. There were a couple shaky times, but for the most part, he looked pretty solid, I thought, throughout.
I had very few complaints about him. He was positioned well. His aerial play was fantastic. He's got height on just about everybody on Fuego's side, which is extremely helpful. Fuego's team seemed very vertically challenged for the most part.
Interesting to see that, we brought Holt on, we're thinking more along the lines of your traditional left back, but he plays more in that defensive left wing back set with three other. I'm sorry, but he plays more as a center back in the three back set, as opposed to that attacking left wing back, which of course Ryan has played some in the past.
Yeah.
So interesting to see how maybe he transitions so young in his career.
Well, I mean, when you're that young, you've got your positions, but there's a lot of room for growth. They both seem very versatile. So I imagine if they're both with us through 25, we'll see them tried in different positions throughout the field, and might find something that sticks better than where they're used to playing. But we do have one goal of the week nominee. That was Aaron's goal, which is hopefully I'll have this turned in time that you can still go vote. But last regular season goal of the week, so get out there, vote for him. We controlled pretty much this entire game. Wallace he worked a bit, but it seemed like he had everything very well covered. A little bit shaky towards the end. They did get one goal back, and like the 88th minute, somewhere around there.
Yeah, and I would say that was more defense than it was Wallace. I think they just kind of got back in over the top, and we didn't bring enough back.
Yeah, and we started playing a little higher, and I don't think we had any issue, like any idea of bunkering with a 3-0 lead. I think they had a game plan for 90 and did it the whole time.
Yeah, and I mean Dom was putting on everybody who hadn't gotten minutes or a whole lot of minutes so far, and a lot of those were more attack-minded players. So there was a defensive lapse that ended up in a goal. Wallace, though, had some fantastic saves, some fantastic calls throughout the game, just really smothering any attempt by Fuego to capitalize on their offensive gains.
Yeah, if you actually look at what the players we brought on throughout the game, by the end of the game, we had no midfielders. We had only defenders, wingers, and forwards. We were playing a circle.
Yep.
Although if you go to the league site for this individual game, I think if you look up all the late subs, their average position was basically like dead center of the field. I don't remember how long those guys got, but it's almost like they just parked in the circle.
But also they were like, they're not used to that either. Like Ostrom playing central defensive mid.
Yeah, so they're probably just looking around, probably saying, where do I go next? Like, is this good?
Just a tag team positioning.
Yeah.
Like, you're CDM for this moment. No, you're CDM. Just keep swapping out.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's fair to say we won't see that on Sunday at 2:30 p.m. versus Richmond.
Yeah, I mean, we might see elements of it, but we're not going to see that. No.
Yeah. We had Luca, Pedro, and Steven, none of them dressed this past game, which I think for Luca,
neither did Norte.
Neither did Norte. Do you think those were card accumulation holdoffs?
I thought Luca made the bench, but yeah, I mean, in general, I could see it either being card accumulation or just rest. Since there's no off week now.
Yeah.
I think it's just pure rest.
Well, I think we can figure on all of them starting next Sunday. We'll be coming in strongest squad. Bench, I think, will look a little bit more different after how the guys performed against Fuego.
I think Steven's the only question mark for if he'll start.
I think you got to start him.
Who are we including Norte on that list?
Yeah.
I don't know about that either. So it's there's three question marks looming. It's Steven Dos Santos, Norte, and Dion Akoff. And it's I have no in order of likelihood. I'm not even sure in order of likelihood who to assume. I guess we can go over scenarios of where all of them are available or none of them are available.
I'm gonna guess Dion no. And he seems. I haven't seen him in any of the training. And he's been present the past few, but not expecting a comeback. Steven didn't really have too much injury wise after he came back in Tormenta. So
he didn't play Tormenta.
Yeah, we held him out of Tormenta and Fuego.
At least there.
No, he didn't. He didn't even make the
Everybody
bench.
Everybody might have traveled to possibly celebrate, but I don't think he was on the bench for that game either. Now,
okay. He was
given their incredible circumstances to even make the game on time, and the fact that they rode a bus from Atlanta to Statesboro on Saturday, got there just 3 or 4 hours before. If you have a guy whose leg is tight,
yeah,
do you want to risk him after that long of a bus ride to stretch out? Yeah. I mean, if there's
especially when no matter what.
Understand it.
Yeah, right. Especially when no matter what, you have a home game the next week against the worst team in the league. Yeah.
I still think he figures in against Richmond.
I even say I do think so. I just think he might come off the bench. We'll have to see. He might be a bench sub for the Richmond game at least.
If he's available, I'd rather him start because his hold up play is just so good. Like he can muscle in. Richmond will be without Barnathan due to a red card that they picked up. And one other player who I don't think has played a whole lot over the course of the regular season. I want to say Johnson.
I need to look up Millennials. He's been coming off the bench a lot lately.
Yeah. And he came off the bench or draw down there.
I guess, yeah, if we want to talk a little bit, Richmond were, I want to say like 6 games unbeaten heading into this final day of the season game with a chance if they won to leap over Spokane. But that Barnathan red card, I haven't watched it, but I think was pretty costly for them. And they lost to an otherwise Charlotte team that had been up to that point horrendous. Like they had been on a bad run. So
basically
I don't know.
Of theirs.
Yeah, I don't know how much we want to draw from that. I know that our first game against Richmond was a little lucky. We had that nap goal on the bad turf. We had a penalty. We had a Gallardo free kick. And then our away game against them was 0-0. And I just looked, the XG wasn't even 1 between us. It was just a very nothing game.
Yeah, that was a very boring game. Although we did see Terzaghi come out and create some chances towards the end.
And I believe he started last weekend. So I'm not sure if they were kind of rotating with him, because I thought I remember looking at a few of their matches it was probably some like around between middle of September and mid-October, and noticed that they were not playing a lot of the guys we're used to seeing in their starting 11. And Terzaghi was one of them. He was coming off the bench more often than not. So I don't know if they're switching things up as they get ready for the playoffs. I don't know if they were relying on veterans from the bench to kind of close out the final 30. But now it looks like they're even doing different things during the streak. So who knows?
Yep. It's going to be interesting because they always trying to adapt pretty differently to Werner Park. Sawatsky's had a number of seasons playing at Werner Park now. So without Barnathan, that's the only real outlier to their normal. If Terzagi's healthy, I see him starting. If you're putting Terzaghi out there, I feel like you got to start Steven.
Yeah, it's one of those things where Richmond's a tricky team. I think almost more so than Spokane would have been, just because Spokane had not been doing well. But with how well Richmond has been doing, I feel like it's definitely not a guarantee.
Yeah,
at all.
I think Spokane will play. They will play their style regardless of the matchup, and that's typically for them been go big or go home, and they could just go out in flames. I would probably relished playing them more than I would have Richmond, because I know that it's possible. They overshoot a little bit. Getting excited for a playoff game, and we just thump them.
I mean, we beat them 4-0 and 4-1 at home the two times we played them this season. So yeah, it would have been a bit nicer, but we'll see. We'll see with Richmond.
Yeah. I'm not super worried about it, but that also worries me. Because
well, I mean, it's last year's game leaves a bitter taste in your mouth. We had over 30 shots in that game.
Yep.
And couldn't score, and it's sort of what we all remember. So you think that we should understand, don't take these games for granted. But I think it's okay to not be terribly nervous when you finish top of the table.
We'll see.
I feel like it's a trap.
It might be. So,
but
I mean, yeah, we need to put out a full strength lineup. Whatever that full strength means, it needs to be full strength.
We need a full strength.
Three more games, three games in 3 weeks. You play your best team each time.
Yeah. Full strength lineup. We need fans in the stands. Going to be on national television on CBS Sportsnet. So there's a big reason for the guys to show up.
And it's not the dinosaurs that'll be in the parking lot.
Not the dinosaurs that'll be in the parking lot. So if we win this, we've got a week till the next game. That next game will be at home. We've guaranteed a home slot for every subsequent game. So that's incentive enough. We don't have to worry about travel for these playoffs, regardless of the other results. So bringing another USL League One final to the Omaha Metro would definitely be good. Really seems like there's been more just groundswell, at least talk. Weather and a Huskers game at roughly about the same time, plus a Creighton men's game that overlapped with the UO game. I think definitely hurt attendance at this last match. But 2:30 on a Sunday, Chiefs don't play till Monday. Huskers play on Saturday. I don't think there's any other local soccer happening that's not at a youth level. So could be, great excuse for everybody to get out. You can buy your tickets on the team site now. They're available for this match. We'll find out about the next match. Following the result of this game.
Yeah. We'll see. It's supposed to be, just looking at my weather app right now. Currently, it's saying it's 65 and maybe a little rainy. So we'll see what that ends up actually being on the day. Who knows?
I mean, we've had games where it's been playoff games or late season games at Werner where it's been, 30 and
Yep.
miserable. So I will take 65 and rain any day.
Mm-hmm.
Was last year's playoff game like top 5 bad weather home games?
I would say probably. I would say the Tucson playoff game was really bad. And then the 2 games at the start of was that 22 season at UNO? So I think both of those games were pretty bad.
23.
Oh, was it 23? Okay.
Yeah. Madison makeup game from 2021.
Temperature wise, but there was we had to get out there and shovel 6 inches of wet snow off the pitch.
Yeah, that afternoon was actually like mid 40s. It was, you layer up a little, you're fine. It was the game after that where we got hailed on for about 15 minutes straight. That was worse.
Yep, that sucked.
Well, we've gone through all of the weather. We haven't quite had a tornado, but there's always 25 for that.
Hope not.
The algorithm's going to pick that one up, Luke.
Looking ahead, I don't have the bracket in front of me, but
NoCo plays Spokane, Madison plays Charlotte, and then Greenville and 1 Knox play.
So assuming a level seeding, we would play the winner of either NoCo Spokane.
We play Greenville. We play Greenville, Knoxville.
Greenville,
if they don't
1
redo
Knox.
the bracket.
Okay.
If they don't reset the bracket, do you reset the bracket? Basically, we can only not play NoCo and Madison.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wouldn't be upset about a Greenville game in Werner Park.
It'd be fun.
The interesting thing is that's the game that I am the least confident about making a pick in. I think NoCo is probably going to win. I think Madison probably going to win. I don't know Greenville 1 Knox. I could see that going either way.
I think that's going to be a fun one to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I think both Greenville, Knoxville. I think both Greenville and Knoxville. I think and both Charlotte, Madison. I think they can both go to Pens. It's you always worry about a goalkeeper with a hot hand in the playoffs, and the Charlotte Madison game is probably the only game where you'd be afraid of both keepers legitimately.
Yeah, Charlotte has been so bad. I know they beat Richmond recently, but they've been so bad lately that I can't see them winning that. But who knows? Maybe they'll surprise.
Well, we'll have to keep an eye on ESPN Plus over the weekend, see who we end up with as a potential.
We have to win. We have to win, though. We have
keep an eye on the league for the schedule. Is the schedule out yet?
I was looking at that. I don't think
We've heard a couple of kickoffs through the grapevine. I mean, we get told at our game. I'm sure Greenville has sent their emails out. So if you've gotten tickets to a Greenville game before, maybe we know that when Greenville's game is.
I don't think I see it on the website yet.
I haven't either, and it's Monday night.
Yeah. Well, keep an eye out there for whenever those games are. I'm sure it'll be out by Wednesday. As home field availability comes to, because I'm sure that's probably part of the issue with some of these sides that are supposed to be hosting, is making sure the fields are available.
I didn't think that with Greenville. Yeah, let me take a look at Furman football. Furman are away this week.
Okay. Does Furman soccer play on that? Or...
I don't know. It's a good question.
mean, I don't know if they have soccer, either men's or women's.
Well, Google says they have a men's team. Yep, they do play in the same stadium, so that actually could be an issue for them.
So,
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see what it ends up being there.
Yeah,
time wise, I wouldn't be surprised if we're the only Sunday game, but also I could see us not being the only Sunday game.
well, we were put on a Sunday initially. It was supposed to be a 4:00 game, and then they pulled it forward to 2:30 because of that national broadcast. I don't know if we were. I think the scheduling for the Sunday was initially done to try and avoid as many attendance overlaps as possible.
Yeah, I want to say Sunday was a done deal no matter what.
Yeah. Oh. Anything else we should look out for going into the playoffs? No. 2:30 games.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, just something. I hope we don't end up going to penalties, especially against Richmond. But
yeah,
we've been decent taking penalties this season so far. Shido hasn't been as good at saving penalties this year, so that might be something to keep an eye on.
Didn't have as much experience with it as Wallace either. Wallace had 2 Jaeger Cup games where, went
where
to
he
penalties.
did get some good saves. Yeah,
he had at least 3.
And Wallace played last year in MLS Next, where every game that ends in a draw goes to pens.
So that might be a thing to look out for if we are getting late in the game, potentially going to pens.
With the 2:30 game, I don't know how travel is going to work for Richmond. That's a fair haul for them. But I think one of the biggest things outside of the guys will be ready, not worried there, but getting the fans out, because this is a big opportunity for Omaha, even if it's not going to be watched that much on national television. You're more likely to tune into a game if there's good amount of fans in the crowd. So drag a friend, drag a friend's friend, drag a friend's grandma. Just get out there and cheer the boys on, and hopefully we'll see the week after too. But other than that, I don't think we've got a whole lot more to go on. If you want a full breakdown of playoff predictions by our resident student and Ginger, go to wgahmedia.com. Braden has done a fantastic playoff predictor on there. Explains a little bit about how the playoffs are going to work for this season. So get on there, give it a read. Give him a comment, give him a heckle, and do your thing. And guys, I got one last question for you. Who gives a hoot? We do.
We do.